The question is, do I think two-way players will become the norm in the NFL?
It's true. America has a new elite two-way talent on our hands.
We want to see somebody who can do it on both sides.
So it's come to my attention that a lot of y'all want to learn about the One Platoon System or Ironman football. So imagine you're a player in the NFL and your job is to be a cornerback. In the One Platoon System, you're going to be a cornerback as well as a wide receiver. So for one possession, you're going to play DB trying to stop the team's receiver, and then the next possession, you're going to be asked to play receiver and catch touchdowns. So this is the way football was played throughout the entire beginning of the game. Every player was expected to tackle, block, pass, catch, defend, everything that mattered, every player had to do. And in today's NFL, where we've all gotten used to the specialist archetype where you have quarterbacks who are designated quarterbacks, it's very difficult to comprehend the nature of the One Platoon System. And that's what we're gonna do in today's video. We're gonna talk about the legend, the history of Ironman football, and get you guys to understand where football has come from. And some of you might even ask the question, has the game gotten worse or better for some of you out there? So without further yaps, my boy, let's get right into the video. Subscribe. So I first like to start this by taking a deeper look at Ironman football and how it was played in the first place. Now, in the early days of football, there were no substitutions, so teams had to stick with the same 11 players on both offense and defense. And this usually happened with very few exceptions. So you play until the whistle blew or until you couldn't play anymore. As an example of this, guys, take a look at someone like Patrick Mahomes. Imagine if Patrick Mahomes had to throw a touchdown for one possession, and then right after that, he has to go and take on Derrick Henry and tackle Derrick Henry. How do you think that would fare in the current NFL? That is something that is extremely difficult for us NFL fans in the modern day to comprehend. So that is why it leads us to this very important question that I'm sure you guys might have right now. Why was the game set up like this anyways? Why was the game set up like this from the start? This was original football. Now, in order to understand this, guys, we first have to see how football has progressed since the 1900s. In the early 1900s, the game was heavily influenced by rugby, and rugby was heavily influenced by soccer. This is where we get the limited substitution. As we all know, in soccer, you only have a set amount of players that you can substitute in each game. And we have to understand that back then, football wasn't the polished game that we see today. It was rugged, it was raw, and it was built for sheer endurance. Fans at the time didn't care about seeing spectacular catches. They wanted to see men go there and fight for their teams. And another thing was, teams didn't have the money or the sheer manpower to fill big rosters, so players had to do everything basically. And then when you look into the fact that teams don't have money to pay a lot of players and the manpower was extremely limited, you start to see that this rule had to be set in place. Substitution has to be restricted because we want to keep the game fair. If you have more money as a team, you can obviously fund more players, so that shouldn't be an advantage. That shouldn't make you win games. That is why the One Platoon System was a staple in football. Sherlocking, man, Sherlocking. And some of you might be thinking, this might have been a really boring time to watch football games. This might have been a time where you wouldn't want to be a fan of the game. Well, let me tell you, you are very wrong, because we had some great legends from this era, and one of these goes by the name the Red Grinch.
During 13 years of high school, college, and professional football, Red Grange carried the ball 4,013 times and scored 531 touchdowns.
Guys, he has a record that still stands to this day. The Red Grinch didn't just play halfback or running back. He played quarterback, he played cornerback, he was tackling. The Red Grinch played both sides of the ball. He was getting interceptions, he was throwing touchdowns, he was catching touchdowns, he was running for touchdowns, he was tackling people, doing everything literally the game called for. And this was what people wanted to see back in the day. This was what original football fans, and maybe now more and more newer football fans, want to see. They want to see a player that can embody everything it takes to be a football player, and that's what it was back in the day.
He said that Grange does the work of 3 men and a horse. Grange was the greatest broken field runner of his time.
So after going through the research of this video, at this exact point that you are at right now, I had this question. right? If these guys had to play both sides of the ball, if these guys had to do so much more than the modern day NFL player, what were their routine like? What were their day-to-day like? They obviously had to do much more in terms of endurance, right? Like, what were their training like? So that's why I said, okay, let's look into the daily life of someone who played through the one platoon system era of football. So there's this NFL legend who goes by the name Chuck Bednarik, or most famously known as Concrete Chuck.
It was the perfect nickname for a player who took pride in hitting his opponents like a ton of bricks.
This is the way you go after him. You're frothing from the mouth. And you say, get him. Get him.
Now, during the two platoon system, this guy played both center and linebacker. He was literally one of the scariest people on the field at all times. He delivered one of the greatest hits in all of NFL history. This is why Chuck, or Concrete Bednarik, is one of the greatest legends in NFL history. And the reason I show y'all that is so you guys can understand that this guy was very prestigious when he was playing the game. He was one of the best of the best. And do you know what he did? His actual day job was selling concrete. That's how he got his name, Concrete Chuck. So these guys didn't have the crazy medical equipment that we do today. These guys were just men playing with their hearts out, and that is a huge reason why fans back then really liked this style of Ironman football. And that's also a huge reason why fans nowadays are really interested in this part of the game and exploring this part of the game a lot more. And that's what the next part of this video is going to focus on, the current day NFL. But hey, before we get into all that, you know the changes. You got the background, I got the shirt. It's day 2 of making this video, and I got home to my family. All right, it was nice, it was fun. I got to see my little sister. How you doing?
I'm good.
How was your Christmas?
Great.
Okay, and you guys have been doing really good on the videos. The last one about the linebacker, y'all went crazy. Wow, look at that, y'all. What the hell? I appreciate you guys so much. Appreciate all of it. All right, y'all killed it. So while all this was going on, I had the idea to interview my little brother about whether or not he would be able to play in the one platoon system. All right, you're a cornerback, right?
Yeah.
Would you be able to play both ways?
I mean, yeah.
Hell no. No.
In a game, you take no breaks, you're playing the full 60 minutes. Would you be able to play that?
Yes. I'm not that tired after like a full set of defense.
So you would prefer to play that than just focus on cornerback, where you play wide receiver and cornerback?
Yes, next year, that's what I'm trying to do.
C-A-P.
You guys make your judgment if he is correct or not, but that is pretty much it for me. That's the update. Hopefully this video doesn't go into day 3. It might, I don't know. Say hi to my thing, it's called him. Let's get into the video. Alright guys, it's day 3. I tried, but we're doing it. Okay, how to take the break.
Goodbye.
Now, like I said earlier, I want to take a look at how the one platoon system has impacted the modern NFL. And I would like to go back in time a little bit and take a look at Deion Sanders and how he embodied that specific aspect of the game. He was a two-way player. He played wide receiver and he played cornerback mostly as his main thing. But Deion Sanders was one of those people that showed that it was indeed possible to play both sides of the ball and have that kind of Iron Man aspect about your game. And a lot of people loved him for it. That is how he became prime. That is how he built his persona and his resume, because people really resonate with that style of playing football. And this versatility of Deion Sanders was highly appreciated by the league back then. More emphasis on back then, because teams nowadays value specialists a lot more. They rather have their wide receiver be wide receiver and focus on that position for the entirety of their career, and they rather have their cornerbacks focus on playing the cornerback position for the majority of their career. So all of this leads us on to problems that we have in the current day NFL, where players who are athletes to the core aren't valued as much as people who just do one thing for the majority of their time in the league. Take a look at the tight end position, for example, and how they're highly undervalued because of this one aspect, because of this versatility factor, and don't get the pay that they deserve by doing multiple things in conjunction. And all of this, guys, leads us on to the 2025 NFL draft, and more specifically Travis Hunter. Hunter, because Travis Hunter has the opportunity to prove to the world, to prove to the entire NFL that two-way players can actually make it, that the one platoon system was actually a part of football that fans and players alike enjoyed. And if we also include the fact, guys, that Travis Hunter won the Heisman this year against one of the best players we've seen in a long time, is absolutely surreal. So this might be a shift that we're all seeing that could possibly take hold in the NFL if Travis Hunter actually stands up and play well in the league. Who knows, man? All that training from someone like Deion Sanders should at least give him the foundation that he needs to really thrive in the league. He has shown a lot of promise in college, and I know for a fact that Travis Hunter will be a problem. It's just at this point up to him to have that confidence to really show the world that two-way players can do it, and how teams are actually going to use this guy to get the full potential out of him and not force him into the current system that we have now that devalue versatility and turn players into these specialists that strip so much away from the individual and the game in general, man. So even though the old days of the one platoon system is gone, I do think the spirit of this style of football still remains in the players, and a part of it still remains in the fans as well. Players like Deion Sanders, Travis Hunter, and even this year Taysom Hill are all reminders that football itself is more than just about specification. It's about doing whatever it takes to win. And I honestly think this new part of playing football, what kids are going to learn from Travis Hunter, is gonna be a thing that we see more and more in the NFL, and could actually lead to the NFL finally taking versatility seriously and actually showing that it's cool and it's important and it should be encouraged to be versatile and do multiple things on the football field. So that is it for the one platoon system. We're trying to hit 2K subscribers in like 1 month. I don't even know. Subscribe to the channel, watch the video about the linebacker, really good one. Watch the one about the tight end, and we got another one about stream me's. Great videos on the channel. Thank you for watching. Peace out, bro. Bye bye. Love y'all.